The moment I hired someone to follow my husband, I thought I was preparing myself for the worst. An affair, a secret life, another woman. But what the investigator uncovered instead was something I never saw coming. And by the time I understood the truth, my entire life in Beverly Hills was already starting to fall apart. Before we continue the story, where are you watching from? And what time is it over there? Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. My name is Sloane Whitaker. On the outside, my life looked perfect. A glass-walled mansion sitting high in the hills. Luxury cars resting quietly in a marble driveway. Weekend charity galas where everyone smiled too much and drank too much champagne. My husband, Cassian Whitaker, was the kind of man people trusted the moment they met him. Calm voice, sharp mind, the quiet confidence of someone who had already won in life. Years ago, he built a cybersecurity company that later sold for tens of millions in Silicon Valley. After the sale, we moved to Beverly Hills to start a slower, easier life. At least, that was the plan. For years, everything felt steady, comfortable, safe, until the night things started to feel different. At first, it was subtle. Cassian started taking phone calls outside on the balcony, late at night, whispering. Then he began locking his phone. He started leaving the house more often. Random meetings, last-minute trips, and the strangest part? He stopped looking at me the way he used to. You notice things like that when you're married to someone long enough. The silence between words, the distance in their eyes, the feeling that the person you love is slowly becoming someone else. At first, I tried to ignore it. People change. Life gets stressful. Maybe he was just dealing with something personal. But small things kept piling up. Then one afternoon, I noticed a charge on our shared credit card. A reservation for two at a luxury restaurant in Malibu. The problem was, that same night, Cassian told me he was flying to New York for business. I stared at the charge for a long time. My chest felt tight. Maybe it was a client. Maybe it was a friend. Or maybe it was exactly what I feared. That night I barely slept. And by morning, I had already made the decision. I called a private investigator. His name was Alaric Vance. In certain wealthy circles around Beverly Hills, his name came up whenever someone needed quiet answers. No drama. No headlines. Just the truth. We met at a quiet cafe not far from Rodeo Drive. Alaric had the kind of presence that made you feel like he already knew more than you were saying. Sharp eyes, calm voice. He listened carefully while I explained everything. Then I slid a photo of Cassian across the table. Follow him, I said. Alaric studied the photo for a moment. Then he nodded. And just like that, my marriage became an investigation. The first few days turned up nothing. Cassian went to the gym, met a few people for coffee, stopped by a downtown office building once or twice. Everything looked normal, almost boring. Part of me actually felt relieved. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe I was letting paranoia destroy a perfectly good marriage. But on the sixth day, Alaric called, and the tone in his voice made my stomach drop. I think you should see this yourself, he said. That night I sat in his office watching surveillance footage on his laptop. The video showed Cassian walking into a medical building in Santa Monica. Not a restaurant, not a hotel, a clinic. At first I didn't understand why that mattered. Then Alaric paused the video. He zoomed in. Cassian wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a young woman, dark hair, nervous posture, and from the angle of the camera, she looked pregnant. My chest tightened instantly. There it was. The answer I had been afraid of. Cassian had another woman, another life. But then Alaric said something that made everything even stranger. That's not the strange part. He opened another folder, more photos, more surveillance. Cassian visiting the clinic again, and again, but every other time, he was alone. No woman, no meetings, just him, talking with doctors, signing paperwork, spending hours inside that building. None of it made sense, until Alaric pulled up one final document, a medical file he had managed to access through one of his contacts. I stared at the screen, trying to understand what I was looking at. The patient name listed at the top of the file was mine. My heart started pounding. This can't be right, I whispered. But the date on the file told a different story. 3 months earlier, the same week I had gone in for my annual health checkup. Suddenly memories started coming back. The blood tests, the scans, the follow-up appointment the clinic said had been postponed. Except it hadn't been postponed. It had been hidden. By Cassian. The document explained everything. A rare neurological condition. Aggressive. Progressive. When the doctors discovered it, They contacted Cassian first because he was listed as my emergency contact. Instead of telling me immediately, he started searching for answers. Meeting specialists, getting second opinions, researching experimental treatments, trying to find a solution before I ever had to hear the words. All those nights he said he had meetings, all those calls on the balcony, all those quiet, distant moments. He wasn't betraying me. He was trying to save me. My hands were shaking by the time I left Alaric's office. I drove home through the quiet, glowing streets of Beverly Hills. Everything suddenly felt different. The houses, the lights, the life I thought I understood. Cassian was sitting in the living room when I walked in, still in his usual spot on the couch, still carrying that same tired expression he'd had for months. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. Then I placed the medical file on the coffee table. His face went pale. He knew instantly. The secret was over. His voice was quiet when he finally spoke. "I wanted to fix it first," he said. "I wanted to find a solution before you had to be scared." And in that moment, every suspicion I had built inside my mind collapsed. Every angry thought, every sleepless night. Because the man I believed was hiding betrayal was actually hiding fear. Fear of losing me. Fear of telling me something neither of us was ready to face. We talked for hours that night. About the diagnosis, about treatment options, about what life might look like moving forward. But more than anything, we talked about trust. Because sometimes the secrets people keep aren't meant to hurt you. Sometimes they're meant to protect you. And sometimes, the truth you're most afraid to discover is the same truth that shows you who really loves you. So if there's one thing I learned the night I hired a private investigator, it's this. Not every secret hides betrayal. Sometimes it hides a love that's terrified of breaking your heart.